My friends, I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now and give me just the next few minutes of your time. Because what I'm about to share with you today could literally affect the money that lands in your bank account this month. Whether you're on Social Security retirement benefits, SSI, SSDI, or you're a veteran receiving VA benefits, there is a major development out of Washington that every single one of you needs to understand before another week goes by. I'm talking about a Supreme Court ruling that came down in April of 2026, and the ripple effects of that ruling are already being felt by millions of seniors and disabled Americans across this country. Some of you are going to see more money. Some of you may see changes to how your benefits are calculated, and some of you, if you're not paying attention, could miss out on payments you are absolutely entitled to. So pull up a chair, get yourself a cup of coffee, and let's talk through this together the way I wish someone had sat down and explained it to me when I first started navigating this system. Because you deserve straight answers, not government jargon. Let's start with the Supreme Court ruling itself. Because I know when people hear Supreme Court, they immediately think lawyers and legalese, and they tune out. But please don't do that today. Stay with me. This ruling, handed down in April of 2026, addressed a case that has been quietly working its way through the federal courts for several years. At its heart, the case was about whether the Social Security Administration has the authority to unilaterally implement certain overpayment clawback rules without proper congressional authorization. And here's where it gets personal for so many of you watching right now. Over the past few years, tens of thousands of seniors and disabled Americans received letters from the SSA saying, "We overpaid you. We're going to take money back from your monthly check." And for a lot of folks, those letters were devastating. We're talking about people like Margaret from Ohio, a 74-year-old retired school teacher who received a letter saying the SSA had overpaid her by over $11,000 and would be reducing her monthly check by $200 every month until the debt was repaid. Margaret hadn't done anything wrong. She had reported her income honestly. The overpayment was a calculation error on the government's part, but she was still being penalized. The Supreme Court's April 2026 ruling put serious limitations on the SSA's ability to implement those aggressive clawback practices without going through proper legal channels. The court ruled 6-3 that the agency must provide a more robust appeals process and cannot reduce monthly benefits beyond a certain threshold without explicit legislative authority. For millions of Americans who have been silently having money taken out of their checks, this is a landmark decision. If you have received an overpayment notice in the last 3 years, or if your benefit amount has been reduced and you weren't given a clear explanation, I want you to write this down. Contact your local Social Security office or call 1-800-772-1213 and specifically ask whether your case may be affected by the April 2026 Supreme Court ruling. You may be entitled to have some of that withheld money returned to you. Now let's talk about the $1,100 payments, because I know many of you clicked on this video specifically to understand what that number means and whether it applies to you. Here's the honest truth, and I'm going to give it to you straight because that's what friends do. The $1,700 figure represents the approximate average monthly Social Security retirement benefit as of April 2026, after the cumulative effect of the 2025 and 2026 COLA increases have been applied. When you combine the 3.2% COLA adjustment that went into effect in January 2025 and the additional 2.6% COLA that took effect in January 2026, the average retired worker's benefit has climbed to approximately $1,702 per month. Now, your individual amount will vary based on your work history, the age at which you claim benefits, and whether you're also receiving spousal or survivor benefits. But if you have not yet reviewed your My Social Security account to confirm that your current benefit reflects these adjustments, that is step 1 for you today. For those of you on SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, the average monthly payment has also risen to approximately $1,537 per month, following these same COLA adjustments. And for SSI recipients, the 2026 maximum federal benefit rate is $960 per month for individuals and $1,250 for eligible couples. These are not new bonus payments being handed out. These are the result of cost of living adjustments that are already baked into your benefit amount. But what I find heartbreaking is that so many seniors don't realize their payment should have gone up, and they never check. They just assume the government is handling it correctly. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Always verify. Now here is something I really want you to pay close attention to, because it has to do with the Supreme Court ruling and how it intersects with what's being called the benefit offset correction rollout happening right now in spring of 2026. Following the court's decision, the SSA announced that it would be conducting a nationwide audit of approximately 800,000 beneficiary accounts where overpayment offsets were applied between 2022 and 2025. If your account is flagged during this audit, the agency is required to send you a formal notice within 90 days. That notice will explain whether money will be returned to you, whether your benefit amount will be adjusted going forward, or whether you owe nothing further. Here's the critical part. You do not have to wait to hear from them. You are allowed to be proactive. If you believe your benefits were reduced due to an overpayment determination that you think was incorrect, you can file a request for waiver of overpayment recovery using SSA Form 632. And thanks to the Supreme Court's ruling, the bar for approving those waivers has been significantly lowered. The court essentially told the SSA that financial hardship alone, meaning if repaying the overpayment would prevent you from meeting basic living expenses, is now sufficient grounds for a waiver to be approved. You don't have to prove the overpayment wasn't your fault. You just have to demonstrate the financial burden. That is a major shift, and it's one that advocates and elder law attorneys are saying could result in hundreds of millions of dollars being returned to seniors who were incorrectly penalized. Let me also take a few minutes to talk about our veterans because the VA benefit picture in April of 2026 looks quite different from what many expected at the start of this year. Veterans receiving VA disability compensation have also seen their payments increase in 2026 following the same COLA formula. A veteran with a 100% disability rating and no dependents is now receiving approximately $3,946 per month in VA compensation, up from prior year levels. Veterans rated at 70% are seeing approximately $1,207 per month. These adjustments happened automatically, but again, verify. Log into your VA Gov account, check your payment history, and make sure the right amount is hitting your bank account each month. There's also been movement on the issue of concurrent receipt, which is the ability for military retirees to receive both their full military retirement pension and their full VA disability compensation without one offsetting the other. For years, this was a complicated area with certain restrictions still in place for veterans with less than 20 years of service who had combat-related special compensation claims. In early 2026, a bipartisan bill was passed expanding concurrent receipt eligibility, and some veterans who were previously subject to offset rules are now entitled to receive both payments in full. If you're a military retiree and a VA disability recipient and you're not sure whether this applies to you, please reach out to a veteran service organization. Organizations like the DAV, VFW, or American Legion offer free benefits counseling, and they can review your records at no cost to you. Now, I want to spend a few minutes on something that doesn't get talked about enough, and that's the tax side of Social Security benefits. Because here's a situation I see all the time. A retired couple comes in, they're doing their taxes, and they're shocked to find out that up to 85% of their Social Security benefits are taxable. They had no idea. They thought Social Security was tax-free. And look, whether your benefits are taxable and how much depends on what the IRS calls your combined income, which is your adjusted gross income, plus any non-taxable interest, plus half of your Social Security benefits. If that number is above $25,000 for a single filer, or $32,000 for a married couple filing jointly, a portion of your Social Security becomes taxable. With the 2026 COLA increases now pushing many seniors' benefit amounts higher, some of you who were previously just under those thresholds may now find yourselves above them. There are legal and completely legitimate strategies to manage this. One of the most effective is called a Qualified Charitable Distribution, or QCD, which allows people who are 70 and a half or older to donate up to $105,000 directly from their IRA to a qualified charity, and that amount doesn't count as taxable income. This can help lower your combined income and reduce the taxable portion of your Social Security. Another strategy is being strategic about when you take IRA distributions. Sometimes spreading them across calendar years rather than taking large lump sums can keep you in a lower tax bracket. I always recommend talking with a CPA or a certified financial planner who specializes in retirement income before making any changes, but knowing these tools exist is the first step. Let me also address the direct deposit schedule for Social Security, SSI, and VA payments in April and May of 2026. because I know so many of you plan your entire month around these dates. For Social Security retirement and SSDI recipients, your payment date is determined by your birthday. If your birthday falls on the 1st through 10th of the month, you receive payment on the 2nd Wednesday. If your birthday falls between the 11th and 20th, you're paid on the 3rd Wednesday. And if your birthday is between the 21st and 31st, your payment comes on the 4th Wednesday. SSI recipients receive their payment on the 1st of the month, and if the 1st falls on a weekend or federal holiday, the payment is moved to the last banking day before the 1st. For April 2026 specifically, SSI payments went out on April 1st. The 2nd Wednesday fell on April 8th, the 3rd Wednesday on April 15th, and the 4th Wednesday on April 22nd. For May 2026, SSI goes out on May 1st, with the regular Social Security payment dates falling on May 13th, May 20th, and May 28th. Veterans' compensation and pension payments from the VA are typically issued on the first business day of each month. Write these dates down. Set a reminder on your phone, and if a payment doesn't arrive within 2 to 3 business days of its expected date, contact either Social Security or the VA immediately. Do not wait. My friends, I want to close today by saying something I mean from the bottom of my heart. The system is complicated. It was not designed to be easy to understand. And too many people, too many good, hard-working Americans who paid into this system for decades, end up leaving money on the table simply because they didn't know what to ask for or didn't know their rights. The Supreme Court ruling in April of 2026 is a reminder that the system can be challenged, that ordinary people can push back, and that sometimes the courts side with the people rather than the bureaucracy. If you've been living with a reduced benefit, an unexplained offset, or an overpayment notice that felt unjust, now is the time to revisit that. Now is the time to make the call, request the review, and fight for what you earned. Share this video with someone you love, a parent, a neighbor, a friend from church who you know is on Social Security or VA benefits. The information in this video could quite literally put hundreds or even thousands of dollars back in someone's pocket, and that's not nothing. That is groceries, that is prescriptions, that is the ability to turn the heat on in January without worry. You deserve every dollar you earned. Don't let it slip away without a fight. I'll see you in the next update.